Caitlin Clark and
I'm a fan.
Angel Reese, right?
Yeah.
They're going back and forth.
I'm a fan of both.
And Jamil Hill says by the time Angel Reese is done, she's going to be the Michael Jordan of WNBA.
She said about Angel Reese?
She said Angel Reese, by the time she retires, can you pull up this quote? She said, by the time she retires, she will be the MJ of, go to Jamil Hill, type in Jamil Hill, yeah. She says, by the time she retires, Jamil Hill has made a bold prediction that Angel Reese will become the MJ of the WNBA by the time she retires.
Patrick Bet-David just said what ESPN won't. He went on camera, named Angel Reese directly, and said every single WNBA player should be praying Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured. And honestly, it wasn't even close. Because while Angel Reese was on live TV floating the idea of sitting out the 2026 season, Caitlin Clark was sitting at the NBA on NBC desk telling the country she's confident a deal gets done.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's just a big moment for the WNBA. I think all of women's sports, I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. So, I feel very confident that we're going to get something done, and that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to be able to continue to do that, and I know everybody's working really hard. There's a meeting tomorrow that's super important, and I truly do believe we're going to get something done here in the next couple of weeks. But like you said, I mean, there's a lot of boxes that we still need to check. We've added two new teams. I mean, there's going to be more players than ever, and then we have to get into free agency, then have a normal draft as well. So there's a lot of things left to do, but I really do feel confident that both sides are going to reach a deal here soon. Yeah.
That contrast is everything. Let's break down exactly what Bet-David said and why this moment changes the entire conversation around the WNBA.
You watch these videos with Angel Reese, she's literally throwing the ball off the backboard. Man. Like, honestly, she must, there's a part of me that wants to compliment her. I take a lot of shots at Angel Reese. I don't want you to think the only thing I do is take shots at her. Ooh. I don't think anyone in the NBA has the level of faith that Angel Reese has, because she goes in and she just throws the ball up.
She doesn't even care where it goes.
She doesn't know where it's going. But the level of faith to believe that the ball's going to go in, I don't think anybody in the WNBA has.
Something about her
You understand
game,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, she goes in and it's like, and it just goes like this. And I just watch it. It's a moment of faith. I have an emotional connection with God when I watch her play because, you tell me you believe in God like Angel Reese does.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that have her level of faith. Watch this. Look at this.
Not a care in the world. Look at this. Michael Jordan. Jordan! No,
but you tell me.
Michael
you
Jordan.
have that kind of faith? I don't have that kind of faith.
One more.
What is this?
I don't have that kind of faith.
Hold on.
Bet-David isn't a beat reporter. He doesn't need locker room access. He doesn't need credentials. He's a businessman. He looks at leverage, money, and incentives. So when Reese went on live stream and casually suggested players could sit out 2026 if they don't get what they want, Bet-David reframed it instantly. He said you don't get to threaten to sit out a season you didn't build.
So what will a strike actually accomplish if it's just a marketing fee anyway?
We will see. By the way, I have to tell you, Caitlin Clark, minus what comments she made last year, I have no interest watching her now after the comments that she made. Zero interest in watching her. She was actually exciting.
She got white guilt.
She was actually exciting to watch, and I'm out. And honestly, I was one that was defending her. I'm like, you know what? You want to make a comment like that? Another person that's out, I have no interest in watching any of it. She was the one that was going to get an audience like me to sit there and watch a game with a daughter of mine. I got two of them. After that comment was made, I'm out.
That line hit because the power players feel like they have right now. That didn't just appear out of nowhere. The attendance spike didn't appear out of nowhere. The TV ratings didn't appear out of nowhere. The sponsorship surge didn't appear out of nowhere. Let's look at the numbers. Attendance jumped nearly 50% in a single year. Merchandise sales exploded over 600%. ESPN viewership jumped more than 170%. The All-Star Game crossed 4 million viewers.
WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. Okay? You know what the increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance in a year? 48%. That's massive for them. So that's the argument they're making. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
Then, and when it comes down to merch from 23 to 24, they're up 601%. Then when it comes down to being broadcasted on ESPN, they average 1.2 million viewers per game, 170% increase. So the viewership is higher, and they're asking for the money. And if the contract on the back end, the revenue, NBA gets 50+% to players, they do 9.3. There's an argument for it to be played, But you're right. If Caitlin Clark gets injured, it's over with.
Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, the WNBA was averaging roughly 6,000 fans per game. 6,000. The growth isn't subtle. It isn't gradual. It isn't debatable. It is the Caitlin Clark effect. And that's where Bet David's argument cuts deep. If Clark is the reason the league suddenly has leverage, then threatening to sit out the season isn't flexing power. It's gambling with someone else's work. Now let's talk about the CBA moment that made this even worse. The Players Association publicly said the league showed up to negotiations without a proposal. That narrative spread fast. Owners empty-handed, disrespect, bad faith. But then the numbers leaked. There was a proposal, a $5 million starting salary cap, individual max salaries climbing toward $1.3 million, potentially $2.4 million by 2031, expanded benefits, new protections. The union's counter was higher, around $10.5 million cap, 30% revenue share, $2.5 million max. That's fine, that's negotiation, but telling fans there was no offer. When there was an offer, that's different. Public trust cracked right there, and optics matter. Owners flew in. They came with documents. Meanwhile, 2 executive committee members dialed into the most important labor meeting in league history over Zoom. That's not illegal, but it sends a message. Now layer this on top. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart co-founded Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 off-season league. That league depends on WNBA players needing additional income. If WNBA salaries rise dramatically, off-season incentive changes. So when negotiations stall, when talks escalate, when leverage gets pushed to the edge, you have to ask a simple question. Who benefits? Maybe it's coincidence, but fans are connecting dots. And while all of this noise is happening, where is Caitlin Clark? She's on NBC. Primetime, calm, composed, breaking down basketball. When asked about the CBA, she didn't threaten, she didn't posture, she didn't escalate. She said she feels very confident a deal gets done. That's leadership. That's stability. Sponsors watch that, networks watch that, executives watch that. There's a difference between fighting for better terms and signaling uncertainty about the product itself. And right now, the WNBA cannot afford uncertainty. The league has reportedly been losing around $40 million a year. This isn't the NFL. This isn't the NBA. This is fragile growth. And fans feel that tension. That's why the backlash has turned personal. Angel Reese's comment sections don't look the same as they did a year ago. Veterans who spent 2 seasons downplaying Clark's impact are now posting about CBA leverage and getting ratioed instantly. The internet kept the receipts, because here's what this really is about. It's not about salary math. It's not about percentage splits. It's about perception. Fans watched Clark sell out arenas on the road. They watched her move TV ratings. They watched her bring in new fans who were told they didn't know enough about WNBA history. And now they're watching some of those same voices threaten to sit out the season that Clark's momentum made valuable. It feels backwards. It feels like someone cashing a check they didn't write. That's why Bet David's comments resonated. He didn't yell louder. He didn't go viral because of theatrics. He went viral because he said something simple and clean. If Caitlin Clark gets injured tomorrow, the leverage disappears. And deep down, everyone knows it. This isn't about choosing sides between players. It's about recognizing who is behaving like 2026 matters. Clark walks into NBC like she belongs there, because she does. No threats, no drama, no ultimatums, just confidence in the product. Meanwhile, banning direct communication between players and owners during delicate negotiations doesn't signal progress. It signals siege mode. And siege mode is dangerous when you're still building the foundation. Here's the bottom line. The face of a growing league protects its future. It doesn't gamble with it. Right now, one player is stabilizing the narrative. The other is escalating it. Bet David didn't destroy Angel Reese because he was louder. He destroyed the argument because the numbers don't lie. And in a league fighting for long-term credibility, perception might matter even more than pay structure.
At some point in time, we've got to stop talking about we're trying to grow the game. Because you got no, listen, is she as accomplished? Will she ever be as accomplished as a Stewie, as an Asia Wilson? But are we really trying to grow the game? Because this is the most popular women's basketball player in the world, and it ain't close. They had to move the Mystic game to an NBA arena. Name the time. And I'm going to turn it over to you because I don't want to get long-winded. I want somebody, one of our women colleagues, Stephen A., to tell me when a WNBA game has had to be moved because of a woman player. Just one. Just tell me one. Because I know in her attendance, she's averaging about 17,000. All the other WNBA games in which she's not a participant average about 7. So are we really trying to go to game? Is that what we're really trying to do? Or are we just talking about we're trying to grow the game and just bullshit?
For months, the media told you Caitlin Clark wasn't ready for Team USA. Not directly, not aggressively, but clearly. She needs more time. The pros are different. The veterans deserve it. It's too early. That was the rhythm.
I want all the ladies on this squad to know every single one of y'all are deserving of it. Caitlin Clark does not deserve a spot ahead of any of the players on this roster, okay? If we're talking just basketball, you know we're not. You know we're not. Let's harken back to the Dream Team in 1992. Remember when Christian Laettner was on that squad? Forget the other pro players. Forget the pro players. Forget the pro players. That's a given. First time NBA players were allowed to participate. Don't put that damn screen up when I'm talking right now. I want to see Shanae and Andrea, okay? The point is this. Those rosters, right? Those players were on there. Do you know that Christian Laettner also was chosen ahead of Shaquille O'Neal?
When the Olympic roster dropped and her name wasn't on it, the framing wasn't outrage. It was justification. She'll get her moment. It's better for her development. She's not there yet. Not there yet. That phrase did a lot of work. Because if you repeat it enough, people start to believe it. And here's the part no one wants to admit. That narrative wasn't built on performance. It was built on comfort. Comfort with hierarchy. Comfort with veterans. Comfort with how things have always worked. Caitlin Clark disrupts that comfort. She doesn't just score. She bends coverage. She stretches the floor to the logo. She pulls attention in a way the league hasn't seen before. And that makes people uneasy. So instead of saying, she's changing the equation, the safer move was, she's not ready.
Because you have to imagine we're asking her why she wasn't put on the team. We would probably go to her and say, why was Caitlin put on the team? And if they felt like their only answer was going to be based on marketing, or their best answer or their best reason was based on marketing, not experience, not chemistry with the team, not knowledge of international basketball, not feeling fresh, because there's no way she feels fresh. She's been playing basketball since November with one of the highest usage rates we've ever seen. And her usage is the exact same for the Indiana Fever. So you have to think about when Jim Rosati, if she were to answer that question about Caitlin making the team, what was her answer going to be? It wasn't going to have any grounding in her being able to contribute in chasing gold versus the others.
Let's be specific. When she was snubbed from the Olympic team, the immediate media tone wasn't shock. It was reassurance. Analysts explained why it made sense. Former players nodded along. The conversation quickly shifted to protecting chemistry. Chemistry. As if a player who just altered the economics of the league somehow couldn't adjust to a roster. But here's what's interesting. The same outlets that emphasized patience didn't apply that same patience standard to anyone else. No one was saying, let's protect the veterans from pressure. No one was saying, maybe the league needs her sooner rather than later. It was all framed around managing her. And when you frame it that way, you subtly reduce her. She becomes a project, not a force. But then Team USA camp happened, and the tone changed. Suddenly, the clips weren't about development. They were about dominance. You saw the spacing. You saw the range. You saw the pace shift when she handled the ball. And more importantly, you saw how defenders reacted. They didn't sag. They didn't test. They respected. That's not ready. That's gravity. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because if she looks that comfortable in a Team USA environment, then what exactly was she not ready for? The speed. She's already sped games up. The pressure? She just carried the highest ratings the league has seen. The moment? She lives in it. So when analysts began softening their language after her debut, it wasn't subtle. You started hearing, she's proving people wrong. She's adjusting quickly. She belongs. Belongs. Interesting word, because weeks ago, she supposedly didn't. And this is the pattern. First it's doubt, then it's distancing, then it's quiet revision, no apology, no acknowledgement, just a tone shift. And tone shifts matter, because media doesn't just report momentum, it shapes it. When enough people say you're not ready, the narrative sticks. When those same people slowly pivot, the narrative gets rewritten, but they're hoping you won't notice. The real issue was never readiness, it was disruption. Caitlin Clark doesn't fit neatly into an old structure. She accelerates timelines, she forces comparisons, she changes revenue conversations. And that's uncomfortable if your commentary is built around maintaining balance. So it was safer to slow her down verbally, safer to preach patience, safer to protect the hierarchy, until the footage made that position impossible to defend. Because once people see dominance for themselves, you can't sell hesitation anymore. And that's when things get interesting, because what happened after that debut wasn't just confidence from her. It was a very noticeable shift from the people who doubted her. And when powerful voices change tone that quickly, it's never random.
So the WNBA says they want to get paid more. They're saying this year they're going to make $1 billion. That's what they're saying, okay? For the first time ever. Now that Caitlin Clark is hurt for 2 weeks, did you see ticket prices? Insane. Let me read you the ticket prices. After Caitlin Clark's been hurt for 2 weeks, all right? So let's go through this. Caitlin Clark absence is having an immediate impact beyond the court. According to data shared by Yahoo Sports via TickPick, prices for 2 specific Indiana Fever away games against the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics dropped sharply after Clark was sidelined. Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14 from $41. What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting, as well as the hate and anger towards Caitlin Clark?
Not her game, the commentary. For months, the message was consistent. She needs time. She's still learning. The Olympic decision made sense. Then one performance later, the language softened, fast. You could hear it in the phrasing. She proved she belongs. She's adjusting quickly. She might have been ready after all. Might have been. That's not analysis. That's backtracking. Let's talk about how subtle this shift was. Before her debut, analysts focused on limitations, defense, experience, physicality, fit. After her debut, those same analysts focused on upside, vision, pace, gravity, composure. The skill set didn't change in 1 week. The visibility did. And visibility forces accountability. When millions of people watch the same game, you can't hide behind abstract concerns anymore. You can't say not ready when she's controlling tempo against elite competition. So instead of admitting the narrative was premature, the tone shifts quietly. No bold correction, no, we were wrong. Just repositioning. That's what makes it awkward, because the audience remembers. They remember who framed the Olympic snub as logical. They remember who said patience was the right move.
Caitlin Clark didn't make the cut for the 12-player Team USA roster for the 2024 Paris Olympics. That is according to Selection Committee Chair Jen Rosati, who explained the decision came down to basketball criteria and not the fame and attention Clark would bring to the games this summer.
And now those same voices are talking about inevitability. Inevitability. That's a dramatic shift from development. Let's use a concrete example. Before her debut, the focus was always on protecting veteran chemistry. After her debut, the conversation became about maximizing her impact. That's not a small pivot. That's a philosophical reversal. You either protect hierarchy or you optimize talent. You don't do both. And when the narrative switches from caution to celebration that quickly, people notice. But here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. Because the pivot didn't just happen with analysts, it happened across platforms. Social media clips amplified her range. Former players started praising her pace. Even critics reframed their stance as healthy skepticism.
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, now I've taken hits because I was calling it from day one. You got people that are resentful towards her, but it's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shine. This girl, the Golden Goose, comes along and she wreaks havoc. She's the Rookie of the Year. She's 4th in the league in MVP voting. 4th in the league, her rookie year.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Healthy skepticism, interesting phrase, because skepticism implies neutrality. The tone before wasn't neutral. It was protective. Protective of tradition, protective of structure, protective of timing. And once that protection starts cracking, the repositioning begins. Now ask yourself this. If she had struggled in her debut, would the tone have softened? Or would the not ready narrative have intensified? We both know the answer. That's why the shift matters. Because it wasn't based on long-term sample size. It was based on optics. One strong performance forced a recalibration. And that tells you how fragile the earlier narrative was. If your stance collapses after one game, it wasn't rooted in certainty. It was rooted in caution. Caution is understandable, but presenting caution as confidence is where hypocrisy creeps in. And this is where it gets interesting, because the pivot didn't stop at praise. It started blending into something else, ownership. Suddenly you hear, "We knew she'd adjust. She just needed time. She's growing fast." Growing fast. As if that growth wasn't visible before, as if the skill set wasn't already bending defenses at the logo. The reframe is subtle, but it's strategic. If you admit you underestimated her, you lose authority. If you frame it as natural progression, you maintain it. That's how tone management works. But here's the problem. The audience is watching in real time. They're clipping takes. They're comparing statements. And when tone shifts that quickly, it creates friction, because the narrative isn't just evolving, it's correcting itself without saying so. And that's where it becomes awkward, because the more she performs, the more the early caution looks unnecessary. And the more unnecessary it looks, the more uncomfortable those original takes become. Which brings us to the part no one wants to discuss openly. Because when tone shifts that fast in sports media, it usually means something else is moving behind the scenes. And once that element enters the story, the hypocrisy becomes harder to ignore.
None of what Janae and Andrea said was inaccurate. And I'm going to say something to you that I have said on many, many occasions. It's not that you're wrong. It's that we don't care. Everything y'all said does not matter for this particular instance. We don't want to hear anything about Team USA. We know they won 7 straight goals. Put Andrea and Janae up on this screen. I want to look at them this whole segment when I'm talking to them. You just highlighted 7 straight gold medals. Oh my God, we're really worried that they're not going to get an 8th. Oh, we really worried. I mean, we got to make sure that spots 1 through 12, every single spot that is picked. I mean, it's got to be, because it's pivotal, Shannon. I don't know if you noticed, Shannon, it's pivotal. I mean, they won 7 straight. They might not get 8. They might not get 8. Stop it. You know good and damn well, with or without Caitlin Clark, they gonna probably win the gold again. That's not what this conversation is about. This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid.
If she wasn't ready, then what changed? That's the question no one wants to answer directly, because the skill set didn't suddenly appear. The range wasn't new. The vision wasn't new. The confidence wasn't new. The only thing that changed was the spotlight. And once the spotlight expanded, the narrative had to adjust. But here's the problem. When a narrative shifts without acknowledgement, it doesn't evolve. It rewrites itself. And that's what's happening now. Look at the language. It's no longer, "She's too early." Now it's, "She developed quickly. She proved people wrong. She matured fast." That's not correction. That's repositioning. Because admitting the initial take was flawed requires ownership. Reframing it as growth preserves authority. And authority is currency in media. No one wants to lose it. But here's what makes this moment different. The clips exist. The commentary exists. The Olympic framing exists. and so does the pivot. You can't erase tone, you can't delete framing, and you definitely can't pretend it never happened when millions of people heard it in real time.
You think there weren't players that weren't jealous of Michael Jordan, that didn't resent Michael Jordan? Okay, ask the Detroit Pistons how they felt about Michael Jordan and how much they enjoyed beating him up before he ultimately captured the championship. Eventually, he got tired of getting his ass kicked. Like literally, they slammed him to the floor, invoking Jordan rules.
Exactly.
And he got tired of all that, got himself bulkier, bigger, etc. And all of these things happen. The point is, Magic and Bird, Jordan, Kobe came along, there was resentment. I mean, the list goes on and on. It happens. So to me, there's nothing wrong with the resentment that you may feel towards what she represents. It's actually good because it provokes a level of hostility, which elevates the competitive fervor, and y'all go out there and compete, and everybody gets paid. But unfortunately, you almost feel like you have some folks within the WNBA that wishes that would rather not be in a very fruitful position because of their resentment towards her. And they won't admit it, but I've been talking about it for months.
This isn't about attacking analysts, it's about accountability. If you build a narrative around not ready and the evidence contradicts it quickly, you have two options. Admit you misread it, or quietly move the goalposts. And moving the goalposts is easier, because then the conversation becomes about progress instead of miscalculation. But the audience sees it. They saw the caution, they saw the skepticism, they saw the Olympic justification, and now they're seeing the pivot. And the pivot is happening without a reset. That's why it feels awkward, because the narrative didn't collapse dramatically, it dissolved quietly. But quiet collapses are still collapses. Here's the deeper issue. The readiness narrative wasn't just about basketball, it was about control of pacing, control of hierarchy, control of who gets elevated and when. Caitlin Clark disrupts pacing. She accelerates timelines. She doesn't wait for comfort. And when someone accelerates faster than the system prefers, the instinct is to slow them down verbally. That's not malicious. It's protective. Protective of structure, protective of rhythm, protective of legacy. But once the acceleration proves sustainable, slowing it down becomes impossible. And that's where we are. If she continues performing at this level, if the ratings continue rising, if the sponsorship alignment continues expanding, there's no version of not ready that survives that. At that point, the narrative doesn't just weaken, it evaporates. And when it evaporates, you can't walk it back, because walking it back would require saying, "We got that wrong." And public authority rarely volunteers that sentence. So instead, we get reframing. We always knew she'd adjust. She just needed the opportunity. She was growing into it. Those lines preserve credibility, but they don't erase the original framing. And that's why this moment feels bigger than one game. It's not about one debut. It's not about one endorsement. It's not about one date. It's about narrative control slipping. Once the audience begins to question the framing, trust recalibrates. And when trust recalibrates, power shifts. That's the part that makes this uncomfortable, because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark dominating. It's about the realization that the story told about her might not have matched the reality. And once that realization spreads, it doesn't just change the conversation around her, it changes how people listen. And when the audience starts listening differently, the old narratives don't land the same. Which leaves us here. If she wasn't ready, then what changed? The answer isn't her game. It's the story. And once a story collapses in public, you don't get to quietly rebuild it.